Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
This is Purple Playbook. I'm Alex Glaze. We have a packed show this week as Jesse Minter's staff starts to take shape. Joining me this week, we got Super Bowl champion Qadry, Ismail, and Q. A number of hires were made this week. Just what do you think about the early days of this Jesse Minter staff?
I tell you what, I'm liking it.
Yeah.
So we know that obviously in his introductory press conference, there was the blueprint of what he's looking for, obviously to play under pressure and to show up under pressure. You have to have a staff that has that mindset, but you also have to have a staff that's like-minded in the development of the relationships with the guys. I think the fact that he's getting guys like an Anthony Weaver, like a Declan Doyle, I know we're going to get into all of it, but I think just what I'm seeing so far, it's a good start.
Yeah, over the past week, we really have seen those coordinators get hired. Let's start with the defensive side of the ball. When we're talking about Anthony Weaver, a guy who is returning to Baltimore after doing a couple years in Miami, serving as the defensive coordinator there. But we have a guy that is respected and known in the Ravens locker room. I know that Jesse Minter is going to be calling the defense, but to me, I know he's a guy that when we're talking about head coaching jobs, when the Ravens were looking for a head coach, Weaver was a name that we threw out. And there's a reason for that. It's because of the respect that he has, and he knows what it means to be a Raven, both as a player and a coach. Just what do you think about Minter being able to bring him in as a defensive coordinator?
So the bigger picture is this. I am the head coach. I have a lot of responsibilities. I have to go out and talk to the different media obligations. Then I'm also trying to make sure my offensive staff and their game planning is on point. What is it that I'm looking for as far as my defensive planning? And then I need to talk to the team. I got to make sure that all of the little details from a talking to the team standpoint is in place. Well, now we got to go out there and practice and implement everything in the game planning. And I think that's where Anthony Weaver comes in. His ability to be able to implement my vision, us being on the same page, but then being able to manage the little day-to-day opportunities for the guys to get what the game plan looks like defensively. That's where the advantage of having an Anthony Weaver as your consigliere, if you will, to go out there and be ready to wreck shop and restore the name of the Ravens defense.
I know you were on the offensive side of the ball, but if you were a defensive guy, with all of the change that's been going on, Weaver's only 2 years removed from being in that locker room. Just what would this mean to you as a player to kind of have that stability and, someone that is going to bring that credibility right away, day one? You know what you're getting from Anthony Weaver. What would that mean to you as a player?
So I know that I want details to help me succeed when I'm going up against, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns. I want to make sure that what you're giving me is something that I can use to help myself be successful. I think that when you look at Anthony Weaver, now he's going to be that guy. Obviously their entire defensive staff, they're talking about, your position coach and what that is like, but you're also talking about the broader picture of him standing up in front of the guys and really going ahead and getting into the weeds of what a game plan looks like from week to week. Here's why we're going to talk about this blitz versus this particular offense, and that's something that is a huge plus when you have an Anthony Weaver addressing the defensive team.
And for those who don't know Anthony Weaver and where he's been and all that, well, let's bring up his resume for a second just to kind of connect those dots a little bit, because listen, he has been coaching for a long time, more than a decade coaching in the NFL. Like I said, just spent 2 years in Miami coaching the defense as their defensive coordinator. This is big to me, Q. For 2022 and 2023, the assistant head coach under John Harbaugh. So John Harbaugh trusting him with that role as well, which should not be overlooked. Then, of course, has been coaching the defensive lineup as well. Drafted by the Ravens in 2002, knows what it means to be a Raven. Just what do you think that playing history that he has also, this is home for him, right?
Yeah.
He said it. They're coming back. This is almost a homecoming.
Well, you're talking about him, being in a scenario where he knows the building. You know the old building, and then you know the brand new castle, the Under Armour Performance Center. You know one coach, you know the other coach. You have had him for a block of time. Then, of course, from a player aspect of things, when you know the different big-time name players that have come through those doors, those Hall of Famers, those guys that have the busts that are sitting up there with the gold jackets. It's all about the legacy of what that means to be a Raven. Jesse Minter, now he has been in the building, but to bring in an Anthony Weaver, who has been as both player as a coach, has had a strong resume himself. That's where you talk about, Wonder Twin powers activate. Let's go ahead and be form of a Ravens dominant defense, and let's go out there and get it done.
All right, well, we know Anthony Weaver, a guy that we don't really know a whole lot about just yet is Declan Doyle, the 29-year-old offensive coordinator of the Ravens that was just announced this week. Declan, again, let's bring up his resume because I think we're all learning. We're trying to learn who Declan Doyle is. He's coming to us from Chicago. The youngest offensive coordinator in the NFL at 29 years old, the same age as Lamar Jackson. That's going to be fun to watch. Just came from Chicago. Before that was with Sean Payton in Denver as the tight ends coach, and then followed Sean Payton because he also was with him in New Orleans.
Yep.
Got hired by Sean Payton back in 2019. So for me, when I'm looking at Declan Doyle, he's a guy that has been stamped by Ben Johnson and Sean Payton. Sean Payton hired him twice. So that tells me everything I need to know about what he's bringing to the table. And even though he wasn't calling plays in Chicago, I think that this is going to be, everyone's trying to look for the next Sean McVay, the next wonder kid. Might have it right here in Baltimore with Declan Doyle.
I think basically when you're talking about Declan Doyle and you're talking about what the bigger picture is, it's about his ability to now take from those genius coaches, those offensive-minded coaches, the Sean Paytons of the world. You're also looking at it from the bigger picture of the world, under fire. You're talking about putting together a game plan for Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson saying, all right, bet, I got it, I understand it. Let's go out there and implement it. That's a tough division to be successful in. Their offense was incredibly successful, and you did see the turnaround of a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. So this isn't like some guy who can't coach. Obviously, he wasn't calling the game itself, Ben Johnson was, but the experience of what he put together as far as the week of practice, the getting up in front of the guys, saying, look, this is what red zone is going to look like. This is what the third down is going to look like. I think that is something that, in my mind, says an awful lot about Declan Doyle.
I think a lot of people are talking about the age, right? Let's not dance around it. 29 years old. 10 years of experience, though. If you are a Ravens player, listen, there's guys, I know same age as Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar is getting a little long in the tooth now, 29 years old. But, he's young, but he has that experience. Just what is it going to take for him to kind of earn that respect in the locker room? Do you think it's going to be easier or harder for him?
I think it's going to be a scenario simply with this. If we are in a week of practice, you're giving us a game plan, and it's a complicated one, but a good one. And then you go out there and say you're going up against Pittsburgh and you're implementing all the things that we worked on, and you're being successful in being ahead of the defensive coordinator on the other side of the field. You're putting up points. Oh, you best believe I'm going to be like, I don't care how old you are. You're putting us in position to be successful. That's the main thing. Keep the main thing. Like, can you coach us? And under pressure, put us in a position to be successful.
All about the results. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are talking Super Bowl big game coming up with Mike Macdonald headlining probably one of the best defenses in the NFL, putting them all on the show on the big stage. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl when we come back. You're watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook as we get ready for Super Bowl 60. Super Bowl 60 out in the West Coast in the Bay Area.
Super Bowl 35 was just yesterday.
It feels like just yesterday, doesn't it?
Mother of pearl.
Man, time flies. The Seahawks getting ready to take on the Patriots. Big game. And obviously the connection here in Baltimore, there's connections on both sides, but the big one, Mike Macdonald, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, leading his team to the Super Bowl in just his second year. And earlier this week, he gave credit to John Harbaugh for some of his success.
I don't think it's possible to overstate his influence on me. I love John Harbaugh. He's one of my biggest mentors. was willing to take chances on me when other people weren't, and invested in me and my career throughout, and stretched. Like the things that I felt like I could do. He had a vision for me in my career that I probably didn't have for myself, and all those principles that are part of his program that he's about as a person resonated with me, and those are a lot of the foundational principles that we brought to Seattle. And he's a great friend. He's got a great family, so I can't tell you how much I love him.
Man, big words from Mike Macdonald there about John Harbaugh. Just when you take a step back, I mean, really cool to hear just kind of some of those words, right? Especially when you look at the success that Mike has had so quickly in Seattle, turning that team around the way he has.
I think there are some guys that are meant to be head coaches, and wherever that path leads you and ultimately you get your opportunity, you want to make the best of it. Mike Macdonald has big time made the best of it. And 2 years with Seattle, you're talking about playing for a championship, a world championship that puts you in that upper tier as some of the best of all time. And so for Mike Macdonald, obviously he's given credit to people that have helped him, in this particular case, John Harbaugh. So credit to him, tip of the cap to him. But I think a lot of people that knew him knew that this wasn't something that was unusual for a coach that literally, from a Ravens perspective, brought the Ravens defense up to really incredible heights as far as turnovers, third downs, points allowed, historic type numbers when you're talking about a Ravens defense. And it's just a matter of him being able to address the men in Seattle, which he clearly did. He wasn't afraid to also tweak his staff when he didn't feel like guys were living up to the proper standard. Okay, well, bye-bye, we'll see ya, and bring in guys that are like-minded with him. I think all the way around, kudos to Mike Macdonald.
And when I'm looking at this year specifically, just what he's been able to do, it can't be said enough that he's doing it his way with defense, right? It's such an offensive-driven league right now. So to be leading with defense and for that to be how your team is winning games, winning the NFC, being the number one seed in the NFC, which is a gauntlet of a conference, I mean, it's just really special to see. I mean, I'm a defensive guy myself. But but to take that Ravens brand of football out west to Seattle and to apply it and see the benefit of that so quickly.
I think defense is one of those things where in our microwave age of we want the instant, I think it is one of those scenarios where if you can have your defense recognize what you're calling, have talent around each other, and then go out there and execute it against offenses, you best believe you're going to be playing in the postseason. And any team, knowing that they have a defensive mindset at the head coach position that's also calling the defensive signals, mother of pearl. Like that's where you want it. You want to be playing for championships. And in 2 years, Mike Macdonald has these guys on the cusp of winning the Lombardi.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that game because it's a big one. I mean, on the other side of the ball, you have Mike Vrabel in his first year as the head coach of the Patriots. I mean, this is a Patriots team that won 4 games last year. Talk about that turnaround and doing it with Drake May, a guy that people weren't really sure about last year. And to see what he's been able to do in his second year and his first year under Mike Vrabel, and to see just kind of what Vrabel has injected back into New England, I mean, I think we're in for one heck of a game on Sunday. How do you see this one shaking out?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I love me some Mike Vrabel and the way he was able to, get things back to the standard of the Patriots and the Patriots way and all that. I think it's one of those scenarios where for Drake May, his mindset has to be don't turn the football over. His mindset has to be, look, I know there's going to be a lot thrown at me from a defensive standpoint, but I got to trust Josh McDaniel, my offensive coordinator, who's been there, done that. He's going to, quote unquote, protect me with the right play calling, and it's just up to him not to turn it over. Then I just think defensively, they're just going to have to play one heck of a game because I think Sam Darnold, his mindset is like, man, I've been here, done that as a backup. I know what it is to get a second chance, and now I'm running the ship.
Especially coming off that NFC Championship game where he was lighting it up. He's got to be feeling pretty good coming into this one.
And that's what I'm saying. I got the people around me to be able to do what I need to do. mother of pearl. I'm ready for this moment. And so it's about the Patriots being poised and trying not to make those big mistakes.
I was going to say, I think that, I mean, we're going to get to predictions later on in the show, but I think there's something to be said about Mike Vrabel being in this moment before many times as a player, know what these guys are going through, be able to bestow that experience on them and help ease this week. Because I mean, I'd imagine you know better than I do just how crazy this week is compared to other weeks. But I think Vrabel, that impact is going to be because he's been there, done that a little bit.
Get the tickets ready because the family's going to be asking.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're playing Something or Nothing. This is Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The Bottom Line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. It's time for Something or Nothing. I'm going to throw out a phrase. You tell me if it's something or nothing.
I'm going to do my best.
All right. Let's start with Nnamdi Madubuike, who had a couple of cryptic tweets out there this week. One of them's good news with prayer hands. And the other one, you know, kind of insinuating that there could be a return coming. Just what do you make of those posts? That's something or nothing?
I will say that it is something because in this day and age, you recognize that your career is done. And I know for Nnamdi and the way the Ravens have been handling these moments of whatever his injury and the severity of it all is, it is a scenario where for him, it has to be something and hopefully something positive.
Absolutely. All right. Well, our next one, we got Derrick Henry out there in Super Bowl doing a little bit of recruiting. Said he would love to play with A.J. Brown, who, you know, there's been some speculation. Maybe he's not happy out in Philadelphia. Who knows what's going on there? But what do you make of Derrick Henry's recruiting? Is that something or nothing?
I think that's a little bit of both.
And of course he would love to play with A.J. Brown. Who wouldn't?
Exactly. Well, they're
former teammates, right.
You know, so they know each other. So that's something. The nothing part is that neither one of them really can control it, and unless you're, you know, just sitting there and your agents are trying to like work some backdoor deal with both the Eagles and what, you know, EDC is trying to do, which, you know, the whole, you know, right player, right price type thing. Get some ballers. Don't try to go cheap on it. Get some ballers. AJ would be a baller for sure.
A baller, and then Derrick had also mentioned, you know, just what he would bring, you know, when you're talking about Derrick Henry in the backfield, and you got AJ out there, you got Zay, Bate, Mark. I mean, is he the missing piece? I don't know.
Well, let's just be clear. If
it's that big body receiver that's kind of eluded the Ravens for.
So if he's here, big body receiver, that means Bateman is not going to be here. Let's just be real.
Just that's
something.
Okay, that's something.
Yes.
And our last one, when we're talking about quarterbacks, obviously the big news this week, T. Martin not going to return to the Ravens. They did hire a quarterbacks coach, I should say, Israel Wolfork, coming from Arizona. Is that something or nothing, the change in QB coach?
I think this is something big in that for T. Martin, you know, you're trying to establish a relationship with Lamar Jackson, franchise player, a guy that doesn't like conflict, according to Steve Bisciotti, as far as his personal assessment of his franchise quarterback. And I think for T. Martin, he was kind of a go-between between all the stuff that went on in the building that is confirmed or not confirmed. With that said, when you take him away, it forces you, Lamar, Israel, to both now communicate, and Declan to communicate, and Jesse to communicate to Declan, Declan to communicate to Lamar, Lamar communicate to Israel. You get the picture. Everybody has to be kumbaya. You can't just say, no, I'm going to just talk to you and you only.
Does that tell you anything about just the way, I mean, because I would imagine Lamar had some say in this decision, right? I mean, this is a guy, you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay. I was going to say, T is that's the closest coach, if not person, to Lamar in the building,
As Steve Bisciotti said, hey, listen, hey, you got an opinion, but I got the power. Let's be clear, I have the power.
That's how he
said it.
Okay.
I have the power to control all of it. Me, only me.
Okay,
no
well,
one else.
let's say Lamar didn't have a say in it. What does that tell you about the precedent they're setting about this? This is a fresh start then across the board.
fresh start in the fact that, the guy that's been there for 18 years who hasn't helped you get to where you want to get to, which is the Super Bowl, now we're going to put a guy in place that's going to help you potentially get to the Super Bowl, and he's going to do it his way. So this is something new, something fresh. Awesome. Bye-bye, T. Martin. Not in a negative. It's just what it is.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. You're watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. As we wrap up the show, we got to talk Super Bowl, get some predictions here. How do you see it shaking out? We got about a minute to go.
Oh, boy. I mean, I am liking what I saw through the playoffs. However, the red flag for the Patriots is Josh McDaniel and them offensively. They struggled mightily. You can say about the weather all you want, but that first half wasn't bad weather. I mean, goodness gracious, the Broncos defense was mud stomping them. And so when it comes to Seattle, I think Seattle has a superior defense. I think, the only thing that Mike McDonald has to figure out is how do I make sure that Josh McDaniel's trick play doesn't turn into a big play. If you can eliminate that, I think Seattle gets the victory.
You're giving Mike Vrabel 2 weeks to prepare for that Seattle offense. And all I keep going back to, I know this is wrong, I've been waiting for Sam Darnold to turn back into Sam Darnold. Hasn't happened yet. I keep going back to him saying he sees ghosts. And I think Mike Vrabel, he has the experience. He's going to have his boys ready. As much as it hurts me to say it, I think the Patriots come out and get it done.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, he is a ghost, and he's going to be ghosting into the end zone.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Purple Playbook. For Super Bowl champion Qadry Ismail, I'm Alex Glaze. We'll be back next week.
Jackson.